Okay, let's talk about Square Enix. Square Enix is not doing so hot, which I find particularly funny because I almost feel like the headline for this article from Eurogamer is pretty much what we said last time that we talked about Square Enix, isn't it? Didn't we do a Cons Anvil here on the channel where I talked about Square Enix? We talked about how they apparently lost $130 million because they were canceling a bunch of profits, a bunch of projects, and the reason was they're like, oh, our games didn't sell that well. And what I distinctly remember saying this. I was like, well, maybe, just maybe, you should have sold it in more platforms, particularly the PC platform. Like, PCs are popping off right now. PCs are completely popping off. That's what I've been noticing a lot. I believe we even specifically said, like, listen, you should be releasing on more platforms if you want to make more money. It's just that simple. But basically, this is a Eurogamer article. Square Enix aggressively pursuing new multi-platform strategy after reports that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth underperformed on PlayStation, profits declining. Square Enix is aggressively pursuing a multi-platform strategy, including Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs. I think the biggest thing here, where they have the biggest room for growth, is definitely on the PC market. The company's new medium-term business plan was shared today alongside its latest financial report and follows news of both a review of its development system and the abandonment of £112 million in development projects, which is what we talked about earlier, the $140 million. The multi-platform strategy is part of a move to diversify earning opportunities and aims to allow more customers to enjoy our titles in regards to major franchises and AAA games, including catalog titles. I think that this is definitely an important thing. Now, the problem with this is now they're going to release Rebirth on PC, and they're going to be like, oh, it didn't sell as much as we were expecting because, again, it wasn't day and date. They can't think about this as in, oh, we'll have like maybe a 1 month exclusivity. You know, we'll drop the exclusivity period a little bit. No, it needs to be day and date. Gamers don't like to be treated as second-class citizens because they're on a different platform. There are people that will straight up not buy your game out of spite if it comes out a couple of months later down the line because you made a deal with another publisher or something like that. So to me, this is one of the things that Square Enix definitely needs to nail. They need to do day and date. Like, look at the vision of Yoshi P, okay? Yoshi P did not compromise at all. It was like, listen, Final Fantasy XIV, if it releases on the Xbox, it's going to have crossplay, it's going to have all of the things, or it doesn't release at all. It's that simple. That's the way it goes. It's on PC, it's on PlayStation, it all works. You know, the friggin' expansions launch simultaneously on all platforms. There's no delay. There's nothing. It's like, here's the game. Everybody plays. Same servers. Go, go, go. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Right? That's what they've done. And that's what the rest of Square Enix needs to do. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Yoshi P would have wanted to release Final Fantasy XVI on PC as well. However, naturally, you know, Square Enix goes and wrings a couple of $1 million out of Sony, guaranteed money, as opposed to taking a chance on the PC platform. They're scared of the PC platform for whatever reason, but just like, look at Helldivers. You think that a majority of the users in Helldivers are coming from, you know, a majority of the sales, which we're going to be talking about Helldivers sales a little bit later down the line in the show, but you think that a majority of those sales are going to be console? I'm pretty sure a majority of those sales are actually PC. PCs are very much popping off right now. And it's a very important platform that you do not want to neglect. And more importantly, you do not want its, you know, gamers on the PC side of things to feel like second-class citizens, because you've already seen that we voice our opinions pretty friggin' loudly. As it turns out, Square Enix's biggest releases in recent years have been console exclusive to PlayStation, including the likes of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy XVI, and Forspoken, with PC releases either alongside or in the pipeline. Man, Forspoken, not even the PC release saved that one. Holy crap. While no specific games are identified here, it suggests that some of the company's biggest could make their way to Xbox in the future, or perhaps Switch too. At least Square Enix's biggest game, Final Fantasy XIV, made its way to Xbox recently, which is a good thing, even though Microsoft basically milked Final Fantasy XIV fans. It ringed them like straight up, just like, give me all your money. because it charges them for the online, the online Xbox Live, whatever the hell it's called. And then they also get charged by the monthly fee that they have to pay to access Final Fantasy XIV, which, by the way, on the PlayStation side of things is not the same thing. On the PlayStation side of things, you only have to pay the monthly fee. You don't have to pay for PlayStation Plus in order to play Final Fantasy XIV, which I found interesting because I feel like a lot of people on the Xbox side of things, when it was announced that this was going to be, they were like, it's the same thing on PlayStation. No, actually it's not, sir. Sorry. The strategy will maximize digital sales of new titles, as well as pursue initiatives designed to win over PC users. Yes, this is very important. Again, one of the most important things in here, I would definitely say, is day and date. Day and date. No messing around, no 1 week delay, no staggered releases. Day and date. Because, now I'm basically saying it because it seems like they've been hearing what people have said about, hey, you guys should probably release on more platforms, because that was the talking point that everybody said when they were like, oh man, we're losing so much money. And people are like, have you considered releasing on other platforms? And they're like, okay, we're going to release on other platforms. Okay, now the other thing you guys got to do is it needs to be day and date. Okay? Extremely important. The shift to multi-platform also includes mobile games, which will not only release on iOS and Android, which doesn't fucking matter, but PC too. Actually, that's a bad thing. You should keep your mobile garbage away from PC, is my opinion, but, whatever. Mobile gacha game, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis, is already set for a Steam release. Gotcha. Square Enix also leverage IP across media formats, suggesting the likes of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest could be seen more outside of games. The company's new development pipeline will shift from quantity to quality, balancing developer creativity with data from customers and the wider market. AAA releases will be released regularly, while mid-class titles will prioritize profitability. As such, it will be bold in creating new franchises to prioritize novel forms of excitement, balanced with earnings potential. All of this to focus on creating unforgettable experiences, marketing talk for good games. So why all this change? It's due to declining profits. The last financial year saw an increase in net sales of games of 1%, but a decrease in profit from games of 38%. Games like 16, 7 Rebirth, and the Pixel remasters boosted sales, but a year-on-year decline in MMO and mobile games, plus high development costs accounted for the loss of profit. What other MMOs do they have besides 14? Because the thing about 14 is that it's very much a seasonal game. You play it during the expansions and major patches, but outside of that, the population is going to lower significantly. No specific sales are given, but 7 Rebirth has reportedly underperformed despite being the 4th biggest game in the US so far this year. Like I said, the biggest problem with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is that they're never going to recoup that cost at this point. Because even if you were to release it on PC right now, it would probably sell a couple of million copies, but not nearly as much as it would have sold if it had released day and date. It's just that simple. A lot of companies are underestimating the value of day and date, and they are doing so at their own peril. Also, naturally, bad news never comes alone, so Square Enix confirms US and Europe layoffs as part of restructuring. Square Enix is set to make an unconfirmed number of layoffs as part of ongoing company restructuring, it told staff in an internal meeting on Monday, VGC understands. According to people who were in attendance, Square Enix President Takashi Kiryu said that both the company's American and European arms would be hit with layoffs, which will happen over the course of the next month. Scale of the layoffs wasn't shared, but staff were told that people working in publishing, IT, and Square Enix Collective Indie Games division will be predominantly affected. Interesting. They're getting rid of people in publishing. It's also because they canceled a bunch of projects, so they don't need as much in their publishing arm, I would imagine. But yeah, those impacted will be informed this week, staff were told. In the UK, employees will enter into a 1-month consultancy period as per local employment law, while US-based staff could leave their roles before June. Following the internal meetings on Monday, many of Square Enix's main Slack channels were locked. The layoffs coincided with publication of the company's quarterly financial results today, in which Square Enix said it plans to rebuild overseas business divisions from the ground up and has begun optimizing costs at its European and American offices via structural reforms. Kiryu, who was appointed at Final Fantasy firm's new boss as of June 2023, has been enacting a large-scale reorganization of Square Enix's development efforts in an effort to reverse recent disappointing sales of its biggest games. The problem is not in your development efforts. The problem is that you're taking PlayStation money to only release games on the PlayStation platform, which has not been as popular over the last couple of years, as we're going to be talking about a little bit ahead in the show as well. In Japan, Square Enix recently promoted a new group of creators to executive officers and placed checks on producers' influence over individual projects, according to Bloomberg. Earlier today, Square Enix published a new medium-term business plan. Yeah, this is the stuff that we already talked about. Yep, aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms. Again, the problem is not with your development teams. 7 Rebirth is a pretty good game from what I could tell. I haven't finished it. I only played like around 10 hours of it because it was a really busy launch window when I was covering Dragon's Dogma. I had to fly out to the UK, do all of this other stuff, so I didn't have as much time to cover 7 Rebirth, but for all intents and purposes, everybody who's played it says the game is phenomenal, which is cool. So it's like the problem is not in your development team, the problem is in your release strategy, your publishing strategy, right? We have some more stuff here, which this is about their investors report, investors meeting or whatever it was, and this dude was present, Takashi Mochizuki, who he's a reporter, Game and Tech at Bloomberg, and he says what they said was Final Fantasy XVI sales fell short of expectations. Initial momentum was in line with expectations, but the games failed to reach fiscal year goal as its momentum slowed. You know that part of this is because a lot of people started bad-mouthing 16 despite the game being absolutely phenomenal, and I will fight anyone who says it wasn't. People are like, it's not a real Final Fantasy game. Shut the fuck up. It's a phenomenal game. What's your problem, bro? Like, I swear, there's a lot of people nowadays that, I understand having high standards. I completely agree. You should have high standards. The problem is that nowadays, there's a couple of individuals online that just have completely unreasonable standards. If you're going to say that Final Fantasy 16 is a bad game, I would like to know what's a good game for you. That's what I would like to know. I would like to ask anybody who says 16's a bad game. Okay, what's a good game for you then? What exactly are you looking for? I completely disagree. I've been replaying Final Fantasy 16 in Final Fantasy mode. The game is fucking phenomenal. I haven't played the DLCs yet. I actually just reached the point where I can go play the DLCs now. But yeah, it's insanity. No updates from sales number last announced at 3 million. It only sold 3 million units, bro. Again, day and date on PC, that number would have doubled. 1,000,000%, it would have doubled. Day and date on PC, you would be looking at 6 million sales minimum. Probably more. Probably more. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth fell short of expectations. Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. Again, day and date PC, boom. Now, I used to also be like, you should release it on the Xbox platform, but to be honest, after the recent Xbox blunders, I hate to say this, but like, bro, I'm sorry. If you're on the Xbox platform, but like, fuck Microsoft, dude. Nah, bro. Like, the way that they've been conducting themselves, fuck them. I think it's gotten to a point where their simple existence is actually a net negative in gaming at this point. So, no. PlayStation, PC, if you can release it on the Switch, do that too. But I'm done simping for Xbox, bro. I'm done. Xbox can go away. It'll be interesting to look at they're going to have like a June presentation, which we'll look at. It'll be interesting to see what they're doing there. I want to play Avowed and a bunch of other stuff, but anyways, that's unrelated. So, yeah. Foam Stars fell short of expectations. You mean we have Splatoon at home? Initial momentum didn't reach an internal target. No sales number to share. I mean, nobody really asked for Splatoon at home. I feel like Splatoon itself isn't even that popular outside of the Nintendo platform, and you expect it to out-Splatoon that? Good luck. Remains confident Final Fantasy XVI can achieve its goal over the original 18-month sales plan. Let me tell you something. You want to sell Final Fantasy XVI copies? Release that bitch on the PC. Put it on the PC. And here's the interesting thing about putting it on the PC. They probably have like, an exclusivity contract that Sony is going to enforce or something like that. But here's the interesting thing about the PC thing, right? Right now, if you put it on the PC right now, you'll sell a couple of copies. You won't sell as much as if you had put it on PC since the beginning. The longer you wait, the less copies you're going to sell. Also, sales of Rebirth and Foam Stars aren't necessarily bad. Reorganized development team into 5 console teams, 1 smartphone team. I don't like this reorganization of development teams. And let me tell you why. Don't you fucking touch Creative Business Unit 3, man. Don't you... It's like Kiryu goes in with his grubby little mitts going like, ooh, Creative Business Unit 3. And I just go like... Get your grubby little mitts away from Creative Business Unit 3, goddammit! That's Yoshi P's unit. That's Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 16. You stay away from that team, dude. Do not fuck with a winning team right now. Reorganized development team to 5 console teams, 1 smartphone game team. You should get rid of this one. I mean, obviously, I can't stand mobile games, so whatever. Has been relied too much on an individual's creativity. Will promote sharing, game making, how? I'm assuming it means know-how among teams, and will seek best balance of individual creativity and organizational discipline. Dragon Quest XII remains under development. Investors react by heavily selling their shares, so that's not good. Stocks fell to the day's trading limit. Concerns or pipelines have become too empty. No big titles that can lift up the company's top line over the next couple of years. The biggest thing that they've got coming, as far as I'm aware, is they have Visions of Mana coming in the summer. They have Dawn Trail. What else? What else do they even have right now? I mean, obviously, in the next couple of years, they're going to have the third part of the trilogy of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but yeah, it'll be rough. It'll be rough. Unfortunately, the recent FF games are selling notably less than prior titles. Like I said, I think that the situation is also that a lot of people are moving on from consoles at this point, because you're late into the console's life cycle. This is actually something that I feel kind of always happen later in the console's life cycles. People start moving to PC because, like, well, the console's not giving me all the performance that I want, and I want more frames, and I want more things, and people move on to PC. Now, the problem with moving to PC is that not a lot of people can afford to move to PC right now. So obviously there's huge gambles there. So the numbers are not as easy as, oh, there's a lot of people coming into PC right now.